and Hamas, calling it a huge relief. They have announced that they're ready to send much-needed food and medicines to Gaza with enough supplies to feed the entire population for 3 months. This comes as the Norwegian Refugee Council warns that the Trump-led plan to increase aid will fail unless all aid groups can resume operations. The council has been blocked from entering Gaza since May. Israel says there's no limit to aid quantity but accuses Hamas of stealing supplies. In order to tackle issues of food shortages, the Gaza peace plan also includes restoring water infrastructure in bakeries in the region, where famine is growing concern. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Matti Zweig. He's a geopolitical expert, joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you, Matti, for joining us again. Good to see you. Matti, can you give us Thank you. Can you give us a little bit of background on what is going on with the aid situation in Gaza and why is UNRWA not allowed to provide aid there?
Well, I think we have to go a little bit backwards because the big problem in the last 2 years is that Israel wanted to continue giving aid to the population in order to continue his war and not to be sanctioned by the lack of humanitarian aid. But they wanted to do it in their terms because they saw that the Hamas, to keep their power, they were stealing the aid, they were distributing as they wanted to distribute, taking a big chunk for themselves and selling all the rest in the black market, which made a real chaos, and also everybody at the same time was blaming Israel for not giving the humanitarian aid. So it's a long time that they have been clashing between Israel and the UN agencies that they really didn't do their purpose, which is to give humanitarian aid. And now with this ceasefire that is going to be hopefully between today and tomorrow, and it's going to start being good for everybody, for Palestinians, for the freeing the hostages and everything that is going with him. And then the humanitarian aid is going to be ordered and given to everybody. And now we have the discussion who is going to take care of it. And if from now, the Hamas is going to put their hands again in this humanitarian aid or not. Some of the agencies are cooperating with Israel. Some of the agencies, they are afraid that the intervention of Hamas is going to not to let them do their work. So until they really sign everything, it must be clear, and it's a game with force, who is going to distribute all these. They say they have enough food and medicine for 3 months. Israel can give permission to permanently give humanitarian aid every day and not only for 3 months. So everything is in the last little letters from the agreement that is going to be, I suppose, closed completely with all the different points until tomorrow, day after tomorrow, because everything is going together. The humanitarian aid, with freeing the hostages, with giving back Hamas prisoners, with all the big possibilities that they are coming now. And if you see who was involved in this, it was Qatar and Turkey that they were not involved before, and Egypt that they were only sometimes involved. So all of them are on and they are winning this thing because they are going to give all this help, and they are going to gain also a lot of money from reconstruction of Gaza in the near future, if everything is going to be okay. And who is going to be out of all this, which means Iran and Russia, and even, you don't know, this is going to be the beginning of a domino that is going to do security agreements, not only between Israel and Gaza, but also between Israel and Syria and so on.
And Maddie, what about the Gaza Humanitarian Aid Foundation? What is going on with them? Do you have any idea about if GHF is still providing aid in Gaza?
They never stopped providing aid. There were a lot of problems because in some points there were local problems or there were people from the Hamas intervening, and they must also be part of the distribution of the aid. I suppose the United States is going to push to give a more important role for this, but let's see what's going on the ground. What is for sure is that Israel doesn't want Hamas to be again the one that is taking care of the humanitarian aid. So they must be part of the agreement anyway.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And now, can you tell us how's the mood like in Israel? Are people happy about this? Are people optimistic about the upcoming and the situation that's ongoing now? And also the fact that one of the Israeli minister has already stated, and he has been clear that he's going to vote against this ceasefire deal.
Well, I think at this stage of the things, after 2 years of this tragedy between Israel and the Hamas trip, I think it's very clear that the word happiness and the word optimistic in our case is two different words. Happy for every hostage that is going to be released, or every body of the dead hostage that is coming back to their families to honorably going to bury them. And not very optimistic about the way that the Hamas can do some kind of sabotage if they see that they are not going to stay without power. And from the point of view of Israel, they are going to do everything they say and promised, but also they are going to do the same as in other parts with the ceasefire, like with Hezbollah in Lebanon or with Syria. I mean, they are going to fulfill all the points of the agreement. In any little point that they are not going to fulfill their side, I mean, Hamas or other powers in the Gaza Strip, Israel is going also to answer. And about the minister, there is a game in the coalition. They have extreme ministers that they are all the time saying that they are going to make the government fall down if they are going to let the Hamas stay in power after they give back the hostages and not dismantle themselves. This is something that everybody wants, but they are saying this especially for their local voters, and at the same time they are not really leaving the government. So they are very pleased that they have a part in the government, and they are going to do everything in their power to stay in the government, even if they talk in such a way. But, you know, there is a dynamics, and if things is going to change, anyway, in 2026 are going to be elections, and the poor Israeli people, after everything that happened to us in these last 2 years, will have to think about what kind of government we want in the future. We're going to vote for this.
Thank you very much, Maddie. That was very insightful. Thank you for always joining us and sharing that insight on NewsX World. Now we move on to our next news. Citizens across the Middle East have expressed joy and optimism after the announcement of a ceasefire and hostage deal under U.S. President Donald Trump's initiative to end the war in Gaza. People in countries like Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, Yemen, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia have hoped for successful implementation of the agreement. Let's in fact listen into what some of them have said.
الذي تم في شرم الشيخ قد قبلت به المقاومة وحققت ما كانت تصبو إليه من شروط ابتدائية وضعتها، وهو الانسحاب الكامل وإخراج الأسرى ومنهم المؤبدات ذوي الأحكام العالية.
والله اتفاقية إن شاء الله أنها كويسة، وإن شاء الله أنها تكون تطبق على الواقع، ونتمنى إن شاء الله أنها تتيسر أمورهم وتنحل أمورهم كاملة إن شاء الله بغزة، ونتمنى إن شاء الله يتم إيقاف إطلاق النار ونخلص من المأساة اللي هم فيها.
أنا سعيد جدا أن أنا سمعت إيقاف الحرب على غزة، وكما شرحت سابقا أن الحرب عبثية وحرب يعني لم تحصل في التاريخ، والمجازر الذي حصلت في غزة هي وسمة عار في كل عربي ومسلم، وسنسأل أمام الله فيها.
أتمنى أن تكون هناك ضمانات، لا نريد يعني وقف الحرب كسابقها، نريد وقف حرب نهائي إن شاء الله.